So a lot of my guitar student base on patreon.com/BERNTH, which is my online guitar academy, have told me they have very big goals when it comes to their guitar journey, but it's very hard for them to motivate themselves to practice every single day and to follow a structured practice routine, because they do feel quite ambitious and they really want to get there to being a professional guitar player, but they often feel lazy and sometimes skip a day when they're practicing, and one day becomes 2 days, 2 days becomes a full week, and before they know it, months went by and they feel like they didn't make any progress at all because it was not possible to follow a structured routine based on discipline every single day. And honestly, I can relate to that. I also don't jump out of bed in the morning every single day excited to practice and to improve, but doing just that has helped me with accomplishing some of my personal biggest goals, and I'm super hooked for years now. So with today's video, I want to show you a super cool little shortcut that you can use to spice up your guitar playing in the easiest way ever, and this one is super underrated. I want to talk a little bit about intervals and harmonization. It's not as scary as it sounds, I promise. It's a super easy trick that has the potential of making your solos 10 times better. All you have to do to get there is just watch this video until the end. It's a really cool video I shared on my main channel a couple of years ago, but not a lot of people saw it back then, so I hope this time I can help more people with this. So let's get started right away. This will truly transform your guitar solos. Have fun. First, we need a simple example guitar solo. Guessing from the YouTube and Spotify plays, you guys and girls seem to really enjoy the song Dopamine of my latest record Elevation. So here's the easy intro melody that leads into the main guitar solo. So far so good, that sounds simple and kind of catchy. But let's say you want to spice this up by adding a really exciting harmony layer on top of that basic melody. This is something I really recommend because it will make your melodies stand out even more. But I think a lot of players are actually quite intimidated when it comes to writing and playing harmonies. Seems like you need a lot of music theory knowledge and quite some experience in order to do it correctly, right?
Wrong.
It's actually quite easy, but only if you know the trick that I will show you today. But first, let's start with the easiest possible addition, playing octaves over that main melody. For this first example and exercise, I was simply visualizing and playing the melody 1 octave higher for the first half and 1 octave lower for the second half. As you might know already, playing this 1 octave higher is actually really easy because the entire fretboard is essentially repeating after the 12th fret. So you will be able to play the right notes quickly since it's the exact same layout and fingering, just moved up 1 octave or 12 frets. Doubling your lead guitar tracks with octaves like that will come very easy for you. As soon as you practice always visualizing the same note that you're playing 1 octave higher and 1 octave lower. Maybe you've seen this on my channel already. This cool and quite simple octave triangle shape is very easy to memorize, and thinking in octaves like this will really help you out whenever you need to play the exact same note in a higher or lower register. This all might sound a bit basic for you right now, but actually doubling your melodies and solos this way is the easiest method of making them a bit more epic and prominent in the mix. And you're not entering harmonically dangerous territory yet, since you're just playing the exact same notes of the main take 1 octave higher or lower. So this safe approach should always work without any bad surprises. But let's say you want something more interesting and melodic. By the way, my friend, as always, you can download all of your practice files for today's video on patreon.com/BERNTH. That's my online guitar academy. So when you become a student over there today, you can download the entire practice package for this video, and you also get access to my 30-day guitar courses. And if you would like to take it one step further, there's currently a once-in-a-lifetime chance to work with me personally on your guitar progress. I opened up a very limited student group that only consists of 250 students that I will personally coach over the next 90 days. If you're interested in that, you can also find the link down below. Most of the seats are gone by now, so we only have a couple of those remaining. So if you want me to coach you personally through your guitar journey over the next 90-day period, click the link down below. You can find that down there as well. But for now, let's continue with the video. Have a lot of fun with this. Here's the classic solution for that, harmonizing in thirds. that actually almost works perfectly for the entire solo already, and it sounds pretty cool, right? I will show you some tricks to make this even cooler and more harmonically satisfying a bit later in this video, but overall we have to be a bit careful now. Because as you know, there are major thirds and minor thirds, and sadly you can't randomly mix them together in your harmony. It would sound something like this. That's probably not what you're going for.
That sounds perfectly terrible.
So my suggested way of learning to harmonize is studying the necessary music theory, learning about the chords and their intervals on every scale degree in the key that you're playing in, and understanding the intervals and the structure of the scale. But yes, there's also an easy trick and shortcut when it comes to all that. So for most of the solo, I'm thinking and playing in the F Dorian scale, and I actually always try to visualize the classic 3-note per string scale shapes around the actual notes and phrases that I'm playing. The main reason for that is the following awesome trick. In order to pick the right third for every single note of my harmonization, I can just count up 3 notes in the scale. So for example, with the first note of this solo, F, I can count up F, G, A flat. So for my harmony take, I'm playing A flat over F, so I'm playing the minor third. The second note in the solo is G, and instead of playing this note, I'm moving up 3 notes in the scale once again. So I'm playing B flat instead of G for my harmony take. Once again, I'm playing the minor third. So in case that still sounds a bit complicated and the note names and the intervals are confusing you a bit, what I'm saying right here is that you can essentially just skip 1 note in the scale. That way you always get the right third for your harmony track. Or if that's easier for you to understand, you can also just count up 1, 2, 3 from the root or scale notes that you're playing. With this super easy trick, you're instantly harmonizing in thirds correctly, and you just need to be able to see 1 or 2 scale shapes on the neck in order to start out with this. Warning! Please just make sure to actually always work with the notes that are in the scale. That way you will be good over 90% of the time, depending on what the chords and what the rhythm section is actually doing in the background. Sometimes, of course, it can sound a bit fishy, but we will solve this issue together in a moment. First, let's check out another really awesome example, harmonizing in fifths. That also sounds pretty cool and completely different, right? I hope you start to see how many interesting creative possibilities you end up with when you start experimenting with harmonization, and how it greatly affects the tone and the vibe of your guitar solos. If you want to be able to instantly play and compose epic harmonies for your own guitar solos without making any mistakes or endlessly searching for the right notes, I really recommend downloading today's exercise video play alongs, tabs, guitar profiles and backing tracks I made especially for you on patreon.com/BERNTH. I even made a really cool harmony cheat sheet for you over there that will make your life so much easier in the future. I honestly wish I had all of this when I started out. So harmonizing in fifths is actually quite easy on paper at least. You're essentially just visualizing your melody as the root notes of power chords, and then you're only playing the top note of each power chord. That way you can always easily play perfect fifths over your melody. But it's not always as easy as that. In reality, you have to pay a bit more attention, because you sometimes end up playing notes that are not in the scale if you only think this way. So to apply the trick and shortcut that you learned about with the thirds, you can just count up 5 notes in the scale. So for example, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. Or of course you can also visualize it as skipping 3 notes in the scale. That's the easy way and shortcut of making sure that you're always playing the right notes when you're harmonizing in fifths.
Easy!
Let's do another one that I'd love to hear more often out there, harmonization in sixths. Now it starts to sound a bit more experimental and maybe a bit strange to your ears at first, but this is often the way to go if your melody sounds a bit stale or predictable, or maybe just too cheesy. That also sometimes happens with harmonization, mostly when you harmonize in thirds exclusively. So in order to correctly harmonize in sixths, you can apply the exact same scale trick we looked at again. This time you can simply count up 6 notes in the scale. In my case, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D. So I have a major sixth because it's the Dorian scale. Or alternatively, you can also think of it as just skipping 4 notes in the scale. It's the exact same process and way of thinking. It just depends on what's easier for you to memorize and understand. By the way, another thing that around 80% of you awesome people keep skipping is subscribing to this channel. Smooth. So if you learned something useful in this video already, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now, or you will keep missing awesome tips like this. So the last and my personal favorite example I want to show you today is all about combining different approaches for the final take of your awesome harmonization. This is exactly how you should tackle this in your songwriting after watching this video until the end, because it will really help you with avoiding unsatisfying harmonies and melodies that sometimes occur when you're just harmonizing in one interval structure exclusively. So actually, just like we did it previously in this video, exclusively harmonizing in thirds, fifths or sixths and so on. So when you are combining different intervals for your harmonized guitar solo, you don't need to strictly follow rules, and trusting your ears is often the right way to go. But here's my final pro tip when it comes to all that. It really helps to have a solid foundation first by putting in the time and harmonizing your original melody in thirds, fifths and sixths before you actually start mixing and matching all those different options together. That way you know how each option sounds and feels like, and mixing the highlights of those different takes is just a lot of fun and really effective. And one last tip, also don't forget about the octaves that I showed you in the beginning. Of course, it's the most simple variation, but often it's also the most effective one. Now that starts to sound really cool, and I'm slowly regretting that I didn't harmonize this part on the record as well. If you enjoyed what you heard today and you'd like to hear the shredding that this melody is actually leading into, I added the streaming links for Dopamine and my album Elevation below in the description of this video. There's something really exciting coming to Spotify very soon, so also make sure to follow me over there. In the meantime, remember to download your practice files for this video on Patreon right now to become a master of harmonization in just a couple of days. I will hopefully see you again very soon. Have an awesome day. Greetings from Austria and bye bye.